Alfonso VIII, called the Noble or Elder Las Navas, was the King of Castile from 1158 to his death and King of Toledo. He is most remembered for his part in the Reconquista and the downfall of the Almohad Caliphate. After having suffered a great defeat with his own army at Alicos against the Almohads in 1195, he led the coalition of Christian princes and foreign crusaders who broke the power of the Almohads in the Battle of the Navas de Tolosa in 1212, an event which marked the arrival of a tide of Christian supremacy on the Iberian Peninsula. His reign saw the domination of Castile over Leon, and by his alliance with Aragon, he drew those two spheres of Christian Iberia into close connection: regency and civil war. Alfonso was born to Sancho III of Castile and Blanche, in Soria on the 11th of November 1155. He was named after his grandfather Alfonso VII of Leon and Castile, who divided his kingdoms between his sons. This division set the stage for conflict in the family until the kingdoms were reunited by Alfonso VIII's grandson, Ferdinand III of Castile. His early life resembled that of other medieval kings. His father died in 1158. Though proclaimed king when only 3 years of age, Alfonso was regarded as merely nominal by the unruly nobles, to whom a minority was convenient. Immediately, Castile was plunged into conflicts between the various noble houses vying for ascendancy and the inevitable regency. The devotion of a squire of his household, who carried him on the pommel of his saddle to the stronghold of San Esteban de Gormaz, saved him from falling into the hands of the contending factions. The noble houses of Lara and Castro both claimed the regency, as did the boy's uncle, Ferdinand II of Leon. In 1159 the young Alfonso was put briefly in the custody of Garcia Garces Terraza, who was not wealthy enough to support him. In March 1160 the Castro and Lara met at the Battle of Lobregal, and the Castro were victorious. But the guardianship of Alfonso and the regency fell to Manrique Perez de Lara. Alfonso was put in the custody of the loyal village Avila. At barely 15, he came forth to do a man's work by restoring his kingdom to order. It was only by a surprise that he recovered his capital Toledo from the hands of the Laris. Marriage and foreign relations. During the regency, his uncle Sancho VI of Navarre took advantage of the chaos and the king's minority to seize lands along the border, including much of La Rioja. In 1170, Alfonso sent an embassy to Bordeaux to Henry II of England and Eleanor of Aquitaine to seek the hand of their daughter Eleanor. Due to the bride's young age of 9, the marriage was finalized at Burgos, before the 17th of September 1177. The marriage treaty helped provide Alfonso with a powerful ally against his uncle. In 1176, Alfonso asked his father-in-law to arbitrate the disputed border territories. While Alfonso received back much which had been taken from him, he did have to pay significant monetary compensation. In 1186, he recuperated part of La Rioja from the Kingdom of Navarre. In 1187, Alfonso negotiated with Frederick I, Holy Roman Emperor, who was seeking to marry his son Conrad to Alfonso's eldest child and heir, Berengaria. In April of 1188 they agreed on a treaty in Seligenstadt which made clear that she was the heir of Castile after any sons of Alfonso, and that Conrad would only co-rule as her spouse. This became relevant in her ultimate succession to the throne, even though the marriage to Conrad was never consummated and later annulled. The treaty also documented traditional rights and obligations between the sovereign and the nobles in Castile. In July of 1188, Alfonso convened his court in Carrion de los Condes to allow the nobles to review and ratify the treaty. At that court, Alfonso knighted both Conrad and Alfonso IX of Leon, who would ultimately marry Berengaria. The younger Alfonso had come to seek the support and acknowledgement of his ascent to the throne of Leon from his older cousin. The elder Alfonso granted this in exchange for acknowledgement that the King of Castile was overlord of the King of Leon. The relationship between the cousins Alfonso continued to be filled with conflict. In 1194, the papal legate negotiated a treaty between them to temporarily end the conflict. However, after Castile was defeated at the Battle of Alicos, the younger Alfonso seized the opportunity to again attack his cousin. Castile defended itself with papal support. A more lasting peace was achieved finally by the older Alfonso's daughter Berengaria getting married to the younger Alfonso in 1197. The annulment of this marriage by the Pope drove the younger Alfonso to again attack his cousin in 1204, but treaties are made in 1205, 1207, and 1209 each forced him to concede further territories and rights. The treaty in 1207 is the first existing public document in the Castilian dialect. Around 1200, when his brother-in-law John was on the English throne, Alfonso began to claim that Gascony was part of Eleanor's dowry, though there was nothing in the marriage treaty to indicate this. In 1205, he invaded, hoping to make good on his claim. By 1208, he gave up on the venture, though his heirs would come back to this claim generations later. Reconquista. In 1174, he ceded Ucleacutés to the Order of Santiago, and afterwards this became the order's principal seat. From Ucleacutés, he began a campaign which culminated in the reconquest of Cuenca in 1177. The city surrendered on the 21st of September, the feast of St. Matthew, ever afterwards celebrated by the citizens of the town. Alfonso took the initiative to ally all Christian kingdoms of the peninsula, Navarre, Leon, Portugal, and Aragon, against the Almohads. By the Treaty of Cazzola of 1179, the zones of expansion of each kingdom were defined. After founding Placentia in 1186, he embarked on a major initiative to unite the Castilian nobility around the Reconquista. In 1195, after the treaty with the Almohads was broken, he came to the defense of Alicos on the river Guadian, then the principal Castilian town in the region. At the subsequent Battle of Alicos, he was roundly defeated by the Caliph Abu Yaqub Yusuf al-Mansur. The reoccupation of the surrounding territory by the Almohads was quickly commenced, with Calatrava falling first. For the next 17 years, the frontier between Moor and Castilian was fixed in the hill country just outside Toledo. Finally, in 1212, through the mediation of Pope Innocent III, a crusade was called against the Almohads. Castilians under Alfonso, Aragonese and Catalans under Peter II, Navarrese under Sancho VII, and Franks under the Archbishop of Narbonne, Arnaud Amalric, all flocked to the effort. The military orders also lent their support. Calatrava first, then Alicos, and finally Benavente were captured, before a final battle was fought at Las Navas de Tolosa near Santa Elena on 16 July. The Caliph Muhammad an-Nazir was routed and Almohad power broken. Cultural legacy. Alfonso was the founder of the first Spanish university, a Studium General at Palencia, which, however, did not survive him. His court also served as an important instrument for Spanish cultural achievement. Alfonso died at Gutierre Muñoz and was succeeded by his surviving son, Henry I. Alfonso was the subject for Lion Futuanga's novel Die Juden von Toledo, in which is narrated an affair with a Jewish subject in medieval Toledo in a time when Spain was known to be the land of tolerance and learning for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. The titular Jewish woman of the novel is based on Alfonso's paramour, Rahel La Famosa. Scholars continue to debate the historical truth of this relationship. The 1919 film The Jewess of Toledo by Franz Hobling is also based on this relationship. Children. With Eleanor, Alfonso had 11 children. Ancestry.